You own a home, your Shangri-La, and where memories are made. But owning a home is hard. And that's where we come in. This is the Absolute Home Service Podcast. We interview local businesses to show homeowners how improvements can be made, common issues, maintenance, and everything in between. Welcome to the Absolute Home Service Podcast. And now your hosts, James McCarter.
Good morning and welcome back to another episode of the Absolute Home Service Podcast. Today we've got our guest Hunter Jablonski with Junk Magicians here with us. Going to be talking with him and getting some information, digging into his brain on how he can help. Hunter, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, James. Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Yeah, awesome. No problem at all. So like to always start, like how tell us a little bit about you, your business, and the services that you offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So Junk Magicians, we are a full service junk removal and demolition company. We do, like, what I like to say is we do everything from a mattress all the way up to a full house. You know, we'll take grandma's old TV out of the basement. We'll clean out hoarder houses all the way up to working with investor partners, stuff like that. Completely gutting, potential flip, or even just knocking down old houses, old buildings, stuff like that.
So whether it's from cleanup to renovation to selling, buying, you're covering that full scope, right? Yes,
sir. We're a one-stop shop.
Now, how did you get into this business?
So I'm originally from the Reno, Nevada area, and I went to college out there. And when COVID hit, I was currently playing lacrosse for the University of Nevada. And obviously when the world stopped, so did sports. So I had an old blue pickup truck, and I started posting Facebook ads saying, "Hey, I'll haul your junk to the dump." Ended up blowing up, started renting a dump trailer, ended up buying a dump trailer. And that was at the end of 2021. And then 2022, we just exploded. 3 trucks in Nevada, 15 employees. And it got to the point where I really didn't have to be there. I had a really serious girl. I still have a really serious girlfriend, but she lived out here. So I actually just decided to expand the business out to the Lexington area. And we've been out here since September.
That's awesome. So you're still running and operating out of Nevada too?
Yep. So we have 3 trucks and 15 employees out in Nevada. And then out here, we have 3 trucks and 12 employees.
Gotcha. So, these types of companies, they're all over the place, right? As far as, going in and doing clean outs and, clean up and things like that. What sets the Junk Magician company apart from the other companies that are out there that are available to homeowners?
Well, we have worked very, very hard to figure out specific strategic processes for coming into these houses and cleaning them out to maximize efficiency. And the more efficient we are, the less we have to charge for it. So our company motto is fast service, fair pricing with friendly technicians. We call it the 3 Fs. And really what it comes down to is my guys get to houses. Say we have a full floor to ceiling hoarder house. They can look at the different rooms and know exactly what they need to stack first, what they can use to fill in air pockets in the trucks, just little things like that. But it ends up saving a ton of time. So we can typically do like a full 1,800 square foot house in 1 to 2 days and just get it completely done, completely swept out, the whole 9 yards.
No, that's amazing, and I love that you mentioned the process. I can't express how important that is. So, for example, with what we do with just one of our trades, for example, HVAC. Mm-hmm. Your typical companies are going to go into homes, right, and they're going to let's say the homeowner says, "Oh yeah, well my AC is not working." most of your companies are going to go straight to the outdoor unit, and then the indoor unit, they're going to look at it a little bit. They're going to tell you that it's this part, and then, tell you that they can fix it. Whereas having a set process, a set checklist of what you're going to check, how you're going to do it. So, for example, knowing how to stack it, looking for those air pockets, and just being more efficient. This is the same way, really, with any other trade, any other service. You are constantly, you're doing a full inspection, a full tune-up on that whole entire home to see and determine what works best. So I love that you really mentioned that. And that probably, I would say, by the sounds of it, has been super beneficial by being as thorough as you are and as efficient as you are.
Yeah, it's definitely helped a lot, especially since all of our pricing for the junk removal side is by volume. So the more stuff that we can cram into spaces in the truck and the more tightly we pack it, the less money we have to charge the homeowner. And that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, is we understand this is a convenience service, and it's pretty expensive typically. So just making sure to help the people out, get them a fresh start, get everything cleaned out, and get it done for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Always looking out for them. So what type of demolition? We'll switch gears just a bit. What type of demolition services or projects do you typically handle?
So we do everything. I mean, you have a shed in the backyard, we knock it down. We just finished a project on East 7th Street here in Lexington. We knocked down 3 houses. They were all charred pretty good. Knocked them down, graded the lot, seed and strawed it, whole 9 yards. We do commercial interior and residential interior gut jobs. So anything from a 20,000 square foot warehouse, all the drywall's got to come off, the second floor's got to come down. We do all that all the way to, like, if you called me and said, "Hey, I got a bathroom, I just need gutted," we can do that too. And we're fully licensed, insured for everything. We pull all permits, we handle all utilities, kind of the whole 9 yards, just turnkey demolition.
Awesome. That's great to hear, and that's why we're looking to bring on guests like yourself. That's going to do it the right way, because there's the worst job ever to do in the world is when you have to do twice, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So in the world of demolition, when you've got debris, different chemicals, and things like that, how is Junk Magicians being environmentally responsible when it comes to those types of services?
Yeah, so we're actually the only company in Lexington that has an EPA certification as well. So we have a special EPA certification. So we had to register with the EPA. We have an EPA number. They monitor where we wash our trucks. They monitor kind of all that stuff. Basically, when we go into a large scale demolition job, say we're knocking down a house and it's got fire, it burned, it's got carcinogenics in it, maybe asbestos. The good thing is that all that stuff can go to a transfer station, and the transfer station will kind of separate it out and figure out where it needs to go. But using a ton of water is huge. So we actually bring out auxiliary tanks, or sometimes tap fire hydrants, and we spray down the job site super well so that there's no dust, there's nothing that can get in the air and harm any of the neighbors. Per Fayette County regulations, we go to every single house within a 10 house radius, give them a certified letter saying, "Hey, we're knocking down this house. If you have any questions, if there's dust, if you're smelling something weird, whatever, here's our phone number, give us a call." All water, all gas, everything shut off well in advance before we do that. We have KU and 811 come out, they mark everything. But one of the things that I'm really most proud about is we sort and recycle 99% of the stuff that comes from these houses. So what I mean by that is, brick veneer, we'll try to get as much of the brick off as we can, haul it over to the asphalt recycling center, dump it, and they can repurpose it. All of our scrap metal, it all gets recycled. All of our electronics, it comes back to our warehouse here. We have a huge pile. And from there, we take it to a recycling facility in Lexington and make sure, it's all recycled correctly. And then the thing I'm actually most happy about is we donate a ton of furniture, a ton of clothes, a ton of stuff, all to different churches. We work with, I don't know why I'm blanking on the name of the church right now, but it's down in Nicholasville, and they distribute all of our stuff to either Ukrainian refugees or to Eastern Kentucky. And that's really cool. So we try to repurpose and recycle as much as we possibly can.
That's awesome. Being able to give back, that follows actually one of my life mottos, and it's actually my favorite quote. You ever heard of Zig Ziglar?
I have not.
So Zig Ziglar is a motivational speaker, and he's actually he's passed now. But one thing that he said was, if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want. Right. So
Yeah.
I love that about your company. Y'all, I mean, y'all really going the extra mile. Most people are taking this stuff to landfills, or just trash, I guess, facilities where they take this type of stuff. So that's awesome. I really like hearing that. So running this type of company, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face?
Oh man, it's very seasonal. I'd say is one of the top ones. Once it starts getting cold, I mean, I'm sure you see it too in what you do. A lot of people, they don't want you in their house, especially for junk removal. If they got a ton of stuff in the back or whatever, and it's been raining for 3 weeks, like the technicians aren't happy when they have to go out there. And same thing on the demolition side. I mean, we've had projects where we couldn't work on them for 3 weeks over the winter because it was so wet that we would be trying to grade and our machines would just sink, rut it up. And with demo, one of the hardest things is if it's wet, no matter what, stuff's going to get buried and like kind of churned up. So if you start driving your equipment through the mud, it just churns everything up and it just makes 100 times more work. I'd say that also is especially with junk removal, the low barriers of entry is really hard because pretty much anyone can just buy a truck and trailer and do what we do.
Correct.
So it's really, really hard because we have a lot more overhead than them. So we're charging a lot more. So how do we figure out how to, sell ourselves and sell, our brand and our reputation and what we're doing?
Yeah. How do you add the value to it? And then, we've been on here for 10 minutes, right? And the value that I mean, homeowners, and I can't stress this enough, especially with what we do. So garage doors on that side of it, there's no state license regulations or anything like that. We're in the same boat. All you got to do is have a business license. Really, you don't even have to have that. But there's no other state regulated license. But HVAC, plumbing, and electrical, state required licensing, right? How you provide that value is exactly what you've been saying the first 10 minutes of pulling permit. You're doing stuff that you don't have to do. Pulling permits, recycling, donating, giving back, helping, sorting, all that stuff, going above and beyond. So that's a great additive in there for sure. That definitely, if I needed those services, I would give you a call. I know we just met on Facebook in passing. We've not used your services, but if I need, or if I know people that need, I will definitely be letting them know about you, because that's the type of people that we like to surround ourselves with, is people that do things the right way. So, staying with like the demolition side of it, kind of walk us through like a typical day of like one of your demolition crews. Like, so from like, the time the job is sold to the time it's completed, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So typically, I'll give you an example. There's a farm out in Salvisa. Just went out. Guy wants an old tobacco barn and a house completely torn down. So process is, with demolition jobs, we don't give any pricing over the phone. We go out there, we look at it, because I don't want to waste anyone's time, right?
Sure.
So I go out there, we measure the perimeter of the house, we calculate the square footage, we check our mileage, we do all that. And then we basically just kind of draw them up an estimate, send it over. All of our estimates are good for 30 days. So they have 30 days to decide. they call me back and say, "Yep, you got a green light." We have an excavator delivered on site. We have KU and 811 come out. They mark all the utilities. They mark the gas lines. They shut off all the water, electric, all that stuff. And then pretty much from there, once all the permits are approved and everything, it's demo day, and we typically start on one corner of the house and kind of just start pulling it down. The key to demo is you don't want to pull it out towards you. You want to collapse it in on itself, especially houses that have concrete foundations, concrete pads underneath. It makes the cleanup a lot easier, because when you spread it everywhere, then you're running around trying to, with the bobcats, trying to pick everything up. You're picking up a ton of dirt, stuff like that. So we drop the house in on itself. We load everything up. Depending on what the customer's preference is, at the end of it, if there's a giant hole, we'll backfill, we'll grade it, we'll seed the straw over the top of it so grass can grow back. Or sometimes they just, want us to leave the hole, and then we just wrap it up, make sure our area is nice and clean, and shake hands and move on to the next one.
That's awesome. So what are some misconceptions that some homeowners or some clients have about demolition jobs or demolition work?
I think the biggest one is like, yeah, why am I paying you to just take a sledgehammer and smash stuff? Like everyone watches HGTV. They watch all those home renovation shows.
You mean you can't gut a house and completely renovate it in like 45 minutes?
I know,
they do it on TV all the time. I see it every day.
Isn't that the craziest thing? It's one of those things where, you see them on, like, they're smashing the countertops with the hammer, and they're smashing the walls with the hammer. It's like, that's not how you do demo.
That's not real life. Yeah,
it's not.
Well, it goes to your point of making it. You don't want to make a mess. Like, I don't want to pick up 1,000 pieces of countertop. Why not just pick up the countertop and then go, kind of set it down.
Exactly. And that's like us. Like, we try to take drywall off in sheets. Like, we'll take a multi-tool and we'll cut giant sections out, pry it off the wall. Because a lot of these demo companies, it's like, the less that you get on the floor, the less work you have at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Like, what we do is we work our guys typically from about 7 to 3, and then wherever they are at 3, they stop, and then we do cleanup for an hour. Doesn't matter if we're not coming back the next day. Doesn't matter if we are coming back the next day. We like to leave our job sites looking clean, so if the homeowners come by and check, they're not like stepping over stuff, stepping on nails, that kind of thing. The same thing with houses. It's like, people have this misconception like, oh, we're just going to get this big bulldozer and just drive through the thing. And there really is a strategic process to it. We're doing a house in downtown Lexington that caught on fire, and I'm working with the builder who's going to rebuild the house, and we're taking down everything, but we're leaving the subfloor and we're leaving the basement. It's like when you're leaving the main level, it's very strategic. Like, if that whole house comes down 40, I think that subfloor is 40 pounds of pressure per square foot is what it's rated for. You have a whole 2-story house come down on it. Floors going to the basement. Everything's ruined.
You're starting all over. You got a big mess.
Yep. So it's very calculated. It's very strategic. And so I always tell all my customers, like, we're going to take our time. If we get it done super fast and it's we don't run into hiccups, that's fine. But at the same time, with something like this, like, typically a house would take us 3 to 4 days. I told her, like, we're going to take our time and probably take a week and literally go room by room by room and just grab it, load it, grab it, and just gradually work our way down. So, yeah.
Well, and then going back to your original point earlier of, if you're charging, if it's all based on volume, right, and you're trying to get it in there, I imagine, for your drywall example, I would imagine that drywall fits into, a roll-off or whatever you're using much better if it's nice, neat, and stacked up instead of just a bunch of pieces thrown around. That eliminates your pockets, right?
Yeah, and you actually just reminded me about something I forgot to say there. We actually haul all our own stuff same day. We don't use, for when we're knocking down houses and stuff, we might order a roll off or two just to take some burden off the trucks. But for the most part, we haul all our own stuff, we load all our own stuff, and we do all that. And that's just an added plus because, especially in some of these nicer neighborhoods we work in, no one wants to look at a dumpster in the driveway, right? So we haul all our own stuff. Same thing.
Well, and then if you own the equipment, you don't now you now don't have to pass that expense along too. So it kind of helps you in other areas as well.
Exactly, and it's the sake of time. Like, if I have a gooseneck dump trailer hooked up to my truck and they just load it, I can leave right now. Versus, hey, dumpster's full, got to call the dumpster company. They got to grab it, dump it, and bring it back. It just halts work.
Right. So, what's some of the most interesting or unusual demolition projects that you've worked on? I'm sure. I know there's probably like 1,000 images flashing through your head right now, and you don't know which one to say.
So, a lot of times, like our junk removal side and our demolition side cross because we'll clean out these hoarder houses and they'll be absolutely trashed.
Right.
So, man, I mean, I got some really nasty ones. I don't know if I want to tell them. So we had this. I'll tell us one. Basically, long story short, guy passed away in the house, on the bathroom. The whole house was floor to ceiling, just hoarder house. And they called us and they needed us to remove the bathroom and the subfloor, and it was all biohazard. So we were in. The guy was obviously decomposing, so we were in full hazmat, full HEPA respirators, like whole 9 yards. And we ended up getting it done. We've done mobile homes, especially in Nevada. Mobile homes are like the hottest commodity you can imagine. People will have 20 acres with one mobile home on it. And we did this one guy's house, floor to ceiling, just natural light cans. The whole entire house. I mean, he was like stepping over them. But we found like probably 5 or 6 dead cats in that house. All kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, I would really have to sit here and think because we've seen so many of these.
Just being in the line of work that I am, I'm not intentionally going to houses that need to be cleaned. And I've walked into, back when I was in service and I was in the field, I've walked into some houses that kind of fit the description that you're talking about. And it's just, it makes it a little difficult, but hey, that's what makes us who we are is, and that's actually going to take me into my next question. That makes us who we are, as in we're not going to just go, no, this is, I can't, I'm not going to do this. But as far as a safety concern, right, that's a whole other story. So on that note, has there ever been a job that you weren't able to take on, due to safety or just really anything?
We had a lady in Nevada, and this is the only job I've ever said no to. We were still a very new company. It was just me and 3 of my buddies at the time that we had just started. So this lady's dog had passed away, and in order to remember it, she would go to the dog park, collect dog feces, and make sculptures out of it. And she would put them all in this shed. Now this is summer in Nevada, so it's 110 degrees outside. And she like goes to hospice or whatever. And her daughter calls us and says, hey, I just have a shed clean out. Like, it's nothing crazy. And like, all right, yeah, no problem. So we show up, open the doors, and it's just a shed full of poop sculptures. And it was 110 degrees outside. And I was like,
that could have worked for the last story too.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I was sitting here and I'm like thinking, what's a good one? What's a good one? And then that one popped in my head. But I looked at her and I was like, with all due respect, like, I'm not even going to give you a price because I'm not doing it.
Yeah, no, that's I fully understand that. So, I know you've touched on this, and this kind of goes from that end of the spectrum all the way to the complete opposite side. And you've touched on it as far as permitting, walking them through the the steps of insuring process. How does Junk Magicians ensure the client satisfaction with your services?
Man, It's one of those things where, you know, it's really not hard to please a client, right? You just do what you say you're going to do. I mean, that's really the biggest thing.
Sounds simple.
Is Yeah. I mean, in Nevada,
Mm-hmm.
it's like if you are not a company that communicates and you are not like a company that just does what they say they're going to do, show up on time, like you're not going to have any business. And in Nevada, we have over 255-star reviews. We've serviced over 3,800 people since, the middle of 2020.
Sure.
And so we brought those processes over here, and it's just really, really simple. Hey, like an hour before, if we know what we're running late an hour before, it's, hey, we are running an hour behind. We're still going to make your hour arrival window, but we are going to be arriving at 9:30 instead of 9 o'clock, right? And then when we're on our way, they get a text that says we're on our way. Then, hey, we're 5-10 minutes out. So they know exactly when we're going to be there. And, for someone like you, right? You're sitting at home, you got to leave for work or you got to go run an errand. Like you need to know down to the minute when we're going to be there so you can do other stuff and not waste your time.
Right. Or someone like me that sits in the basement that can't see my front door. And being in this line of work, I don't want somebody to come up and knock and then call dispatch and be like, hey, they're not answering the door. So like I'll constantly walk up the steps and just peek and be like, no, they're not here yet. And go on about it. So that makes sense. I got a Google doorbell now, so it lets me know when people are there. So I'm good.
That's awesome. And then the other thing too is anytime we do an estimate, anytime we do anything, we write a very detailed scope of work. And we always tell the customer, please verify the scope of work that this is exactly what you want done before you sign off on the estimate. And they'll say, hey, I actually didn't want this in. I wanted this taken out, like blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So then when we go in there, whatever the operations manager, the foreman, whoever's on the job will run it through with the customer. Customer goes, awesome, green light. We do all that. We make sure to clean up after ourselves. If we have to make cuts in the drywall, they're always flat, so new drywallers can lay right away. We pull all of our screws, all of our nails, all of our staples out of the floors and the studs. And it really comes down, you want to know how to satisfy customers, just do the little things is really the biggest thing. I mean, there's companies that don't pull nails and screws. Like, how easy is it to do that? Like, by not doing that, now their drywallers that come in and do that, they're going to be pissed that they have to pull screws and they're going to charge more for it. So it's that all the way up to consistent client communication even after the job is done. Every 3 months we follow up. Hey, is there any way we can help you? Hey, is there anything we can do? And that's been a big part in why once a customer uses us, I mean, it's very, very rare that they don't continue to use us. And that repeat business has helped us grow very, very rapidly.
Oh, that's what it's all about. And, I could not have said it better. Do the little things. Like, I hope he hears this. I'm actually, when I post this, I'm gonna tag him in it and let him know. My high school football coach, who's actually started out from my football coach, like, I don't know, grade school, like, and then all the way up, I always joke with him that he was following me, but unintentionally he was getting promoted going through, middle school and on up. Right. He used to say something to us all the time that has stuck with me, not only through my personal life, but my professional life. And it mirrors exactly what you are saying, right? In practice, right? In football practice, in lacrosse, right? You run drills, right? And we used to run suicides like it was nobody's business, all right? And if you didn't touch the line, right, again, until you get it in your head and you go, oh, yeah, I better touch the line before I go, right? Just do the little things, do the small things. But what he used to say to us has resonated with me 15 plus years since being removed from high school. And it was do it right, do it light, do it wrong, do it long. And that has stuck with me. Like I can fit that in any conversation that I'm having. And so it's very refreshing to hear other companies just speak to that and just have that type of mindset and client satisfaction focused. So it's amazing.
It's the one thing, like you said at the beginning, what sets us apart, right?
Absolutely.
That's what sets us apart, right? I'm 23 years old. I've had this company since the middle of 2020, and we already have 2 locations and 25 employees, servicing thousands of people. It really just comes down to like making sure that you just treat everyone the way you want to be treated, right? Do it right, do it light, do it wrong, do it long. It's all the
100%.
little things.
100%.
And that's really it.
So if you're potential clients or homeowners, real estate investors, flippers, any of them, if how can they best prepare? So hunters come out. Y'all have talked about this. You've agreed on this. You're coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Should they do anything to prepare either for a clean out or for a demolition?
I mean, if they call us, there's a full floor to ceiling horror house. Like, there's really nothing they can do to prepare for that. I mean, that's kind of just we got to put the suits on and get in. You can always tell how bad it's going to be when you show up at the house, and like the realtor, the investor will just open the door and stand there.
Yeah.
And say, hey, go ahead and take a peek.
Yeah.
But
It's 30
really,
degrees outside and they're standing on the porch.
Yeah. Sorry if there's beeping. I guess they're testing our fire alarms right now. But yeah, I mean, for demolition jobs, the biggest thing is if we're knocking down a house and there's stuff that you need out of the house, like let us know before we knock it down.
Sure.
We've had a lot of people like, oh, I forgot this in the house. It's like, well, like you're not like you told us we're good to go. Like, it's going to be hard to get it. If we're going to like a big clean out, it's not gross. And they're like, oh, the moving company's coming after you guys. And this is for us or any junk removal company, whoever you use, just put blue tape on it and tell them blue tape means don't throw it away. Really easy. The guys see the blue tape, they know not to touch it. The other thing too is, if you're cleaning out the garage or you're doing anything like that, it's difficult when the guys have to pull, like we'll pull stuff off the shelves and especially if they're like disabled or they're old or something like that, like we'll help them out however we can.
Sure.
But, there's some times where we'll come in there and they're not ready for us at all. And they're like, oh, all this is going. And then we start grabbing stuff and they're grabbing stuff out of the truck. They're saying like, oh, actually, I want to keep that. It just kind of throws a wrench in our day. And then we have to charge them extra labor. And like, it's just, we don't like doing it. I'd say that's pretty much it. I guess the other thing is just be at home when we show up.
Have keys.
Yeah. But other than that, not really. I mean, a lot of our property managers, a lot of our realtors, a lot of our investors, we've done so much work for them. It's more of a, hey, I got a lockbox on the door. Here's the code. Go in. Everything goes. There's a table in the kitchen that I want to keep, but everything else goes.
Right.
So,
what do you enjoy most about doing this?
it's never the same thing. That's the biggest thing. There's never a day that's going to be the same as another day. And that's awesome. Like, I'm sitting here right now and I got the office phone in front of me. I could get a call right now and someone says, hey, we got a $25,000, $30,000 job we want you to bid. And it's like, boom, you get all pumped, you're ready to go. Or at the same time, hey, one of the trucks just broke down,
Yeah.
John stepped on a nail on this demo site and we got to take him to the hospital. Like, obviously that we don't want that, but it's just stuff where, you're never bored because you're always dealing with something. You're always either bidding jobs, dealing with employees, customer relations, networking. Like, you just keep yourself busy. And I've tried very, very hard, especially with our employees and myself. Like, everyone in this company is very passionate about the company.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very passionate about what we do. And what that does is it builds like a very strong sense of team, like, team leadership and camaraderie. So all the guys, they're playing music at the job sites, they're dancing, they're singing, they're having a good time. And it's just like, it doesn't even feel like work 90% of the time is really the cool.
That's a desired culture.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people go after that for sure. And that's, that's one of the, And in businesses, like we have our KPIs, right?
Mhm.
As far as a business health KPI, that right there is one of them. Like the camaraderie, the type of culture that you have, how people interact with each other, and different things like that. So that's and that right there. So if you enjoy what you do, this is a huge thing that a lot of homeowners don't know. They don't see this side of it, right? They don't see them having fun or how they hang out with each other in the shop, the conversations on the way to the job. If you enjoy what you do and you love who you work with and your job, the level of service that you're going to give to that homeowner is going to be 100 times anybody that does not like what they do. Because me personally, I don't walk into a job and man, I want to get out of here. I'm ready to leave. This is bull crap. It's hot, whatever it is, right? I've stayed and had dinner with people, right? They hey, you want to stay here and have a drink? Hey, you want to go sit out on the back porch for a little bit? Absolutely. It's not
Yep.
work, like you said, it's not work, and I thoroughly enjoy that portion of it. So,
Mhm.
what's next for junk magician? Man, how often do you get tied off? I've done good so far, and I've been watching myself. That little transition right there is it's getting me. So what's next? What other services are y'all planning on offering? Are you planning on staying like this narrow knit niche and just really drilling it deep?
We right now, like, obviously, like I said, we went from one truck and one trailer, one location at the end of 21 to 23 employees, 6 trucks, 2 locations. So we grew so fast. We're actually trying to dial it back and
I
really
hear
just
you.
like kind of focus internally. Because the company's only as good as its foundation, right? If we build to 15, 20 locations across the US and all of a sudden, like, we're not organized or our foundation's crumbling, like the whole thing's going to come down.
That's
So
a fact.
we're working right now. We're documenting all of our processes. We're making managerial material, like manuals. This is what our prints look like. This is what our flyers look like. This is what all our stuff looks like. And our next plan is Northern Kentucky. Cincinnati is a really hot market for what we do. So we're
Absolutely.
going to be expanding into that market. And then after that, I want to go to Knoxville, Tennessee. Um, but right now, really making sure all of our employee training's rock solid. And it's good having 2 locations because, I talked to the manager over there is one of my really good friends from like the day I got to college. So we're just friends. It's kind of just like all friends working up at the higher level.
Right.
So it's like, hey, Blaine might have a process that he's figured out for doing something that's a lot better than what I taught him, right? So
Correct.
bouncing it back and forth, figuring out exactly um, what needs to be done, and it's a huge advantage because it's not like it's some random dude that I'm just paying to run my stuff. Like, we're friends, so he's not afraid to say you're an idiot, or he's not afraid to say like this doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
You definitely need that open line of communication for sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I've loved hearing your story. I've loved hearing about junk magicians. I've loved hearing everything that you offer. How do clients get a hold of you? What's the best form of contact?
Yeah, so you can give us a call. Our office line is 859-533-1420.
Okay.
Um, with If anyone's watching this and you want to know more about us, definitely Facebook. We post a ton on Facebook. Our username is Junk Magicians Demolition and Junk Removal. You can see all the work we do, see some of the guys, different kind of stuff that we've been up to. Instagram as well. We have a TikTok. We try to be funny on TikTok.
TikTok's big.
Doesn't ever
Yeah, absolutely.
doesn't ever get any views, but it's still cool. Or our website, junkmagicianslexington.com. We have all kinds of places for you can see our services. You can book jobs, you can book quotes, you can do whatever. And also, if you're looking for demolition services, we're in the middle of rebranding, splitting Junk Magicians out here into two companies, Junk Magicians and Demolition Magicians. So it's going to be demolitionmagiciansky.com if you're looking for demolition services, but you can call that same phone number.
Awesome. I love it. Any last comments or parting remarks that you want to share with anyone?
Yeah, whether you go with us or you go with anyone, just especially for people who are looking at buying a house, looking at investing, and maybe they're looking to buy a rental property or something, just keep in mind that when you're looking at estimates, take into consideration the time, right? Like if we're $2,000 more expensive than another company, why is that? It's because we're going to get the job done in 3 days and they're going to get the job done in, 8 or 9 days. And especially as an investor, a homeowner, right? If you're looking to move into your new home and you need all this work done, or you're looking to get that property turned over and flipped, that extra 5 days, that could be your electrician doing his work. That could be, the lawn care, the hardscape company coming in and doing all that, or you doing the HVAC.
Right.
And it's really the biggest thing is whenever you're doing home services, one of the biggest things to look at is the time and the commitment that you're going to have to live outside of your normal comfort zone to have this stuff done, as well as always make sure every company that comes in your house has proper licensing and insurance. I mean, that's huge. That accidents happen, and you would hate to see someone just get turned and burned, and they change their phone number and never hear from again because they can't fix the damage. But other than that, I really appreciate you having me on the podcast. This was awesome, and hopefully we can grab a coffee and chat more, see if we can help each other out.
Absolutely, and we'll definitely have to touch back with you to update on where Junk Magicians is in the future. From all of us, we do appreciate you coming on. Thanks for the time. Thanks for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom in these particular areas. And we'll get you back on here shortly. All right.
All righty.
All right.
Thanks so much,
Hunter.